Hello everybody and welcome back to another video where today we will be discussing one of the biggest unsolved questions from Season 1 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Who is the stranger? We do now know that he is one of the Istari, which means one of the 5 wizards from Tolkien's world, but the big question is, which wizard is he? Is he one of the blue wizards? Is he Gandalf, Saruman, or Radagast? Today, we will be discussing the proof we have so far for each of the 5 wizards, starting with Gandalf and then finishing with the Blue Wizard's theory. So, let's start by looking at reasons why the stranger could be Gandalf, which is still the most popular belief, with even most entertainment articles and sites referring to him as such. One of the first hints is the stranger's affinity to the halflings, or specifically the Harfoots, which express a deep and immediate connection. We all know that Gandalf has always had a special relationship with the hobbits. He values their courage and resilience, and his friendship with Bilbo and Frodo Baggins are central to his story in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, as shown in this scene from The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. We also have that famous line at the end of episode 8, "Always follow your nose," which comes from Gandalf's line in Moria during the Fellowship of the Ring, and this is probably the biggest argument as to whether or not he is indeed Gandalf, as this is either the most obvious hint or an intentional misdirection which was used to trick the fans and lead them off the trail. Another potential telling point is when the mystics were searching for the stranger under the pretense that he was Sauron, and when the stranger fights his inhibitions and ultimately decides that he is good. The mystics say that he is the other one. During The Lord of the Rings, despite the importance of Aragorn and some of the other heroes, Gandalf is the biggest opponent to Sauron, as he is the one that rallies all the three peoples together and keeps them going. So maybe this is a hint that they are both on different sides of the same coin, and that while mystics are looking for Sauron, they actually find Gandalf, who is Sauron's opposite, thus making him the other one. Finally, a huge clue has just been revealed in episode 2 of the second season, around the 21st minute mark, when Poppy asks the stranger if he could magic some water into being. And Nori answers that the stranger is afraid that he would lose control without his Gand, which is a word they use to denote to a staff. The reason why this is a huge deal, besides the obvious fact that it sounds as part of his name, is because Gandalf's name literally means an elf with a staff, which Tolkien took from the Voluspa poem from the Norse mythology. Wands and staffs are traditionally depicted as the means of magical creatures for focusing and channeling their powers. Since the stranger is looking, among other things, for a staff, he will probably get called an elf or perhaps a man with a staff, which will then translate to Gandalf. While many have been hoping, and you will hear why later in the video, that the stranger is a blue wizard, this does point out very strongly to him being Gandalf. Now, let's see the proof for the stranger being Saruman. To start, between Gandalf, Saruman, and Radagast, Daniel Weyman, who plays the stranger, besides looking a bit like Ian McKellen, in some ways he looks even more so like Christopher Lee's Saruman. After all, this is a show where they did go for the resemblance with the cast of the Lord of the Rings movies, so much so, in fact, that Benjamin Walker's Gil-galad looks remarkably similar to the Gil-galad we have seen in the prologue of the Fellowship of the Ring. A major hint towards the stranger being Saruman is also that we know that in The Lord of the Rings, Saruman was good until he got corrupted by the desire for power, which owning the One Ring could give him. This balance between good and evil in Saruman as a character would be a very interesting and tempting thing to explore in a show. Ever since the stranger arrived, there were many instances of him doing good but also bad things, portraying his internal struggle. So far, the ambiguous morality and hints of potential darkness in the stranger might foreshadow Saruman's eventual corruption. So maybe this hints that there is some darkness within the stranger, which could lead more to the theory that he is indeed Saruman. At different points in the first season, the stranger's use of powerful, sometimes destructive magic aligns with Saruman's known abilities and willingness to use power more overtly. Saruman is more openly associated with powerful magic compared to Gandalf, especially as he delves into forbidden knowledge and experiments with dark arts. The stranger's display of potent magic could be an indication of the corruptive side of Saruman, such as where he was able to get that inner might and fight off those wolves, and you can see him change a bit and perhaps show a different side of his personality. But ultimately, he seemingly chooses to be good, and since until the events of The Lord of the Rings, Saruman was a force for good, this would all fit chronologically. Next up, we have Radagast, who, in fairness, is one of the less likely options, but nonetheless, one of the reasons why it could be him is mainly related to the stranger's affinity and connection to nature, as well as insects of the forest, which he displayed so clearly throughout the season. The first example is near the end of episode 2, where he can control and even whisper to the fireflies, which resembles Radagast's communication with the animals of the forest. We have seen such moments already in the Hobbit trilogy, where he makes use of the Rosgobel rabbits and saves a life of a hedgehog. Another reason is the unconventional appearance and behavior, as the stranger's unkempt appearance and eccentric behavior could suggest Radagast, who is known for being somewhat unconventional among the Istari. He is often depicted as more rustic and less concerned with his appearance compared to Gandalf and Saruman. The stranger's earthy and wilder look and actions might also reflect this trait. Furthermore, the stranger's healing abilities through nature could also be a potential hint, as there were two main occasions, one where he was healing himself by submerging his arm in the water, and the second one when he healed the tree and made all the apples and leaves grow back. This parallels Radagast's magical healing abilities that we saw in the Hobbit movies, where he healed the hedgehog, but they also show the magical connection to nature and how it could be a potential telling factor for this argument. Finally, as mentioned earlier, we have a theory about the blue wizards, which in my opinion would be the best choice and has quite an interesting argument for it as well. So let's get into it. Firstly, the stranger is going east in season 2 to Rhûn, notably the place where the blue wizards went on their journey and mission. So, could this be what is happening? Perhaps the stranger is trying to find his other blue wizard partner, which could be this Kjaran Heinz's wizard character. Furthermore, back to that the other one line, in the context of the blue wizards, the other one could be referring to the other blue wizard, which is the stranger, and the mystics know of this other one because their own leader is the other blue wizard played by Heinz. The final three bits of proof for this theory are the little lore details we know of them. Firstly, they are the ones of the five Istari who arrived in Middle-earth in the Second Age, went to the East, and remained there. Secondly, in the first version of their story, Tolkien said this: "What success they had I do not know, but I fear that they failed, as Saruman did, though doubtless in different ways, and I suspect they were founders or beginners of secret cults and magic traditions that outlasted the fall of Sauron. In this version, they have failed and also founded secret magical cults. And how else can one define and explain the mystics, especially given that we see Heinz's wizard with them in the middle of some magical ritual in the trailer? And the third key part is that later in his life Tolkien wrote a more positive version of their destiny, saying, "They must have had very great influence on the history of the Second Age and the Third Age in weakening and disarraying the forces of East, who would both in the Second Age and Third Age otherwise have outnumbered the West." So, what do you think about all of this proof for each of these Stari? I think and hope that we might be getting a mix of the two Blue Wizard versions of the story. Kieran Heinz's wizard might be the evil one and Stranger the good one, thus combining the two versions of the conflicting story so far. This would be a very cool way to show these two mysterious but very beloved characters for the first time on screen. But what do you think? Tell us your theories and any proof for these theories that we might have missed in the comments below. Thank you for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and until the next video, Namarie.